Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. This week, we're going to talk about staining outdoor furniture, and we'd like to thank Kay Verchulo for liking and sharing the podcast. And coming in December, we're going to have our 10th book. It's going to be called Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, Book 10 on Amazon. Archaeologists say ancient Egyptians had outdoor furniture made from reeds, and stone benches were popular as outdoor furniture in Pompeii before it was destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. That was in 79 AD, and it killed Pliny the Elder.
I know.
In 1903, Thomas Lee came up with the design of the Adirondack chair, and he spent a few years testing out a bunch of different designs with his family. A carpenter friend of his liked the design so well, he started making and selling them in the New York area, and he changed the design just a little bit and applied for a patent, and he ended up creating a very successful chair business built around the Adirondack chair for over 20 years.
Huh.
Great to be in the right place at the right time. Outdoor wood furniture has to stand up to sunlight, moisture, and temperature changes. In cold climates, water can get absorbed into the wood and freeze, which can cause cracks. In damp climates or in shady areas, mold and mildew can grow on your furniture. And if it retains moisture, it can decay and rot. Sunlight can dry out and damage the fibers of your wood, making it feel rough or cause cracks. By applying stains that are designed to protect wood decks and they're rated for outdoor furniture, it's going to protect against sunlight and moisture. And what's nice about this type of stain is you don't have to add another sealer to this. With deck and outdoor furniture stain, there's 4 main types: transparent, semi-transparent, semi-solid, and solid color.
You should have had me guess.
Transparent's going to give a slight color change. The stain is going to penetrate into the wood, so it's not going to peel. It's slowly going to wear off. The durability, the waterproofing, and the UV protection is going to vary depending on the formula and the quality of the pigments. So I would compare the warranty and the estimated life when I'm looking at the labels. And the transparent stains are going to allow the most texture and grain to show through. It's not going to hide any imperfections in your wood. So if you like the look of your wood and you just want to protect it, most of these are going to be like wood colored. There's not going to be much of a color change.
Right.
Many of the transparent stains are going to have to be reapplied in 1 to 2 years.
But not all of them will have UV protection, right?
Right, exactly. So that's a good thing to compare. Semi-transparent stains penetrate into the wood. They come in a wider range of colors, but they're going to let the wood grain and texture show through. Some of the darker colors will hide some imperfections. They're much better at water and UV protection than transparent. 2 to 3 year durability is common, but check the label when you're comparing. Semi-solid stains are going to have more pigments and color to hide imperfections. They can provide better moisture and UV protection, and this will allow texture and some grain to show through depending on the formula and the color. Semi-solid will penetrate into the wood and it won't peel for most deck stains if you apply it properly. Some formulas include a sealer, so check the label. 2 to 4 year durability is common.
Okay.
Solid color stain comes in the widest range of color, and this will form a film on top of the wood. So this is similar to a paint.
Right.
Many of the solid color stains need to be applied to wood that has less than a 15% moisture level.
And how would you know that?
So use a moisture meter, which is pretty cool. You just poke it with a moisture meter and you'll know the moisture level. Because if you put this on wood that has too much moisture, it can actually just peel off in sheets. But check the application directions when you're comparing, because some formulas can be put on damp wood or higher moisture levels. Most of the solid color stain will completely cover imperfections, the texture, the wood grain, and some are designed to fill small cracks and splinters. So this is great for old furniture. It's usually the best moisture and UV protection, and a durability of 5 to 7 years is common. But I compared some different packaging. One Bear solid color stain I looked at had a 10-year guarantee.
You're not going to spell it?
Bear, B-E-H-R. And another Bear solid color stain in that same 4-foot section, it had a 5-year guarantee. And when I was looking at semi-transparent, I saw one semi-transparent with a 6-year guarantee. Another one had a 3-year. One transparent had a 4-year. And a similar transparent had a 2-year. It's amazing when you're looking at the labels, the difference.
We need to discuss what you think is amazing. The difference could be whether it's oil or water-based, right?
Right, and there's 3 main formulas for deck and furniture stain: water, oil, or a hybrid. The most common's been oil. It's very durable. It penetrates deeply into the wood, especially for hardwoods. It's going to repel water. They're easy to apply and reapply in the future, especially if you stay with the same type of stain. The disadvantages of oil: you're going to have higher VOCs in the conventional deck and furniture stains. And if you have to clean up spills or your tools, you have to use solvents. Mm-hmm. The organic resins in many of the oil stains can encourage the growth of mold and mildew. So this isn't the best choice if you're in an area with high humidity.
Okay.
Some of the new water-based deck and furniture stains are using nanotechnology.
Space age.
So this is allowing the resins to get deeper into the wood, and many use zinc and other chemicals, and that's going to reduce the growth of mold and mildew. What's good about this is you can clean up with soap and water, and the stains aren't flammable, which is good when you're working with wood. Water-based acrylic formulas allow the wood to breathe, so they're not trapping moisture, and they're rated very high for blocking UV. They're also low VOC. The disadvantages are they need to be worked into the wood, and if you don't follow the application instructions, many of these will leave behind brush marks, or the stain can actually ride on top of the surface, which could peel.
Bummer.
On the hybrid stains that I looked at, they were either labeled acrylic oil, water oil, or oil latex stain. And the label said they were soap and water cleanup, low VOC. I also read a couple of the data sheets, and they said they combine the penetration and bonding qualities of an oil stain with the durability and the UV protection of an acrylic stain. One label I looked at said it was 20% acrylic solids and 2% oil solids. And the stain I looked at said it could be applied to damp wood, but I would check the label and compare the application instructions.
Okay.
Before you stain or restain your outdoor furniture, you want to prepare the surface. And in general, restaining with the same type of stain is going to be the easiest, and it's going to cover the best. If you go a step up in more pigment, you're going to get more protection, like a semi-transparent over a transparent, or you can go a semi-solid over a semi-transparent, and solid color is going to go over everything. But if you have a solid color, you'd have to strip that down to bare wood if you wanted to go to something with less pigment.
Okay.
If you are covering a solid color stain, you need to scrape any loose stain and sand the edges smooth for the new coat, and then clean the surface. For all other stains, transparent, semi-transparent, and semi-solid, you want to clean off any mold, mildew, and dirt thoroughly. Some companies like Cabot have their own cleaners and recommend using a scrub brush or a power washer. If you plan on using a power washer, use low pressure and don't get too close with the tip, especially if you have soft wood, to prevent damage. Some pros recommend a pressure washer around 1,500 to 2,000 psi and keep your tip about 12 inches away. Some companies recommend killing mold and mildew with a 30% bleach and 70% water solution, but bleach is corrosive and potentially hazardous to work with.
Right.
Rather than bleach, you can use 1 cup of white vinegar to 1 gallon of warm water to help.
Wow, do you love vinegar?
Well, it's cool. It kills mold and mildew. And vinegar actually gets deeper into wood, and it's safer.
Do you love 5-gallon buckets?
Yes.
Vinegar or worms?
And pocket knives.
Which one do you love more?
It depends on the situation. It depends on the project, the home improvement project. You can also use oxygen bleach to clean and kill mold and mildew on your outdoor furniture. There's no chlorine bleach in oxygen bleach, which is a bad name. And this oxygen bleach is much safer. It's sodium percarbonate, which was developed in 1899, And when you dissolve this in water, it forms hydrogen peroxide and sodium carbonate, which is washing soda. So for cleaning and mildew stains, you can take a half a cup to 1 cup of oxygen bleach, mix it with 1 gallon of warm water in a 5-gallon bucket, and scrub the surface. You can also make your own oxygen bleach by combining 1 cup of washing soda, 1 quart of hydrogen peroxide, 3 quarts of hot water, and a 1/4 cup of liquid dish soap. And then you would scrub the surface.
Who's a quart of hydrogen peroxide around?
You go to your local hardware store. You can get a quart of hydrogen peroxide. And then make sure you rinse your outdoor furniture thoroughly after you've cleaned it and scrubbed it. If you have large cracks or holes, you can use a wood filler that's stainable. And some top-rated wood fillers, the DAP Advanced Exterior Wood Filler, and DAP is just DAP. Bondo, Bondo, their wood filler that's stainable is a 2-part wood filler, so it gets very hard. Minwax, Minwax, they have a stainable wood filler. Check the ends of panels and boards. They can have cracks that'll absorb moisture. Sand your wood putty when it's cured, and then give your furniture a light sanding that'll open up the wood pores to accept the stain. On solid color stain, a light sanding will help the new coat stick better. Whenever you're sanding wood, you should always be wearing a disposable respirator rather than a dust mask. And they may look the same, but a disposable respirator is going to protect you against these very fine particles that could be dangerous for your health. A disposable respirator is going to be marked NIOSH, so it's going to be capital N-I-O-S-H, and it's going to be marked with N, R, or P. N means it's not resistant to oil, R means it's somewhat resistant to oil, and P, it's very resistant to oil, and it's going to have its level of protection, so it's either going to be marked 95, 99, or 100. 95 means it's going to block 95% of these airborne particles that are microscopic, 0.3 microns or larger. 99 blocks 99% of the particles, and 100 will block 99.97% of these particles. And the most popular and probably the best balance from price and protection is an N95 for most of your projects around the house. I read a warning from the EPA talking about benches and picnic tables if you're restaining them. They could have lumber that's been treated with CCA pre-2004. So CCA is chromated copper arsenate, and it's considered highly toxic. The EPA says don't sand it or don't use power washers on this because it can throw these particles into the air, and if you inhale them, it could potentially be dangerous for your body. You can also do an arsenic test on the wood to see whether you have this chemical in there. So the EPA says if you have picnic tables or benches that are pre-2004, you should use a penetrating oil stain on them and maintain that stain regularly, and that's going to reduce your exposure to CCA. And they say never put food directly on any treated wood surfaces with CCA. So it wasn't the best chemical to use for a picnic bench. Some top-rated disposable respirators come from Soft Seal. It's S-O-F-T, capital S-E-A-L, 3M, just the number 3 and the letter M, and Amston, A-M-S-T-O-N. Once you've sanded your furniture, blow off all the sanding dust or use a tack cloth. Check the label on your stain for the moisture level of the wood. Some want the moisture content below 15%. One label I read said below 18%, but some products can be applied to damp wood. When you're shopping for stain, compare how it can be applied. Many stains can be sprayed, rolled, or brushed on. Some only recommend a thin coat applied with a quality brush. You'd use synthetic for acrylic, water-based stains, and natural bristles for oil-based stains. Check the temperature range recommended for the best results, and usually you don't want to stain in direct sunlight on a hot day because it can dry out the stain too quickly and leave brush marks. You want to stir the stain very well before you use it and keep stirring it while you're staining. That's going to keep the pigments mixed uniformly. If you have to take a break, finish a surface or an area before you stop so you don't have brush or roller marks or a difference in the color. Mm-hmm. There's a product I saw called Paint Poncho. It's a plastic bag for paint brushes and roller covers. It has a pull string and a lock to keep the bag sealed around your paintbrush or roller cover. So you can take a break or stop for the day and you don't have to clean off your tool till you're done with your project.
Oh, that's cool.
If you're using oil-based stains and rags or using solvents for oil stains and rags, you don't want to bunch them up or pack them together when you're done, because as the solvents dry, they can spontaneously combust. So you want to keep the rags open and flat and let them air dry before you pack them together, or you want to put them in a bucket of water and let them soak, and that way they won't burst into flames. Pretty wild, huh?
Yes.
If you're using a pump sprayer or a spray gun, use a tool rated for the product you're using, especially with oil products. And after spraying an area, you should brush back each section with a brush and work the stain into the wood evenly. Some stain can be wiped with a rag, and that way you're going to remove the excess and work it into the wood. Mm-hmm. If you have teak wood in your outdoor furniture or expensive hardwoods, check the recommended maintenance. Teak, for example, is a very dense wood and it has natural oils. Many manufacturers only recommend specific products to treat the wood. And it's usually not teak oil for teak wood. And you know there's no teak oil in teak oil? I spoke to the Cover Store. They make patio furniture covers. They recommend cleaning your outdoor furniture at the end of the season and allow it to fully dry, and then stain or seal the wood furniture to help protect it from moisture. Especially if you're in an area that gets freezing temperatures, moisture getting into the wood can freeze and expand, causing your wood to crack. In warm climates, it'll help protect the wood from mold, mildew, and parasites. They recommend furniture covers sized to your furniture with 4 inches of wiggle room. And that's going to protect the wood from tree sap, bird droppings, rain, snow, and debris, and sunlight during the off-season. And to add life to your furniture, get a breathable fabric with mesh vents, and that's going to help prevent mold and mildew growth. They say the cover should have a 1 to 2 inch gap at the bottom, from the bottom of your cover to the ground, and that's going to provide airflow. And they said brush off any snow or standing water throughout the season. That's going to help prevent pooling and help protect your furniture. And they have a bunch of tips and a measuring guide on their website, and they're at thecoverstore.com. So it's THE-COVER-STORE.com.
Okay.
Some top-rated deck and furniture stains come from Flood, Flood, and they've been around since 1841. Cabot, CABOT, they've been around since 1877. Pittsburgh Paint, they've been around since 1883.
You're not going to spell that?
Pittsburgh, like the city.
But you're not going to spell that.
PITTSBURGH, that's pretty well. Epiphanes, EPIFANE, they've been around since 1902. Minwax, MINWAX, they've been around since 1902. Thompson's, since the 1920s. Should I spell Thompson's?
Yes. If you're going to spell flood, you should spell Thompson's. THOMPSONS. Olympic Stain, OLYMPIC, they've been around since 1938. And Defy, DEFY, they've been around since the 1980s. Do you have anything else to add?
If you're using a deck stain for your outdoor furniture, make sure they list furniture on the label. That way you know it's going to penetrate into hard woods. If you want the wood to show through, so you like the grain and the texture of your wood, and you don't want to cover it up, a transparent or a semi-transparent is going to look more natural and give the wood protection. If you want to cover small imperfections or have a wider range of color, look for semi-solid. And solid color is going to give the best protection. It's going to hide imperfections. And it comes in a wide range of colors if you want to get away from a wood color.
Okay.
And keep good notes on the product you used. Restaining with the same type of stain is going to make the job much easier.
Okay. let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Himalaya, or your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our books, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, books 1 through 9 on Amazon. And in December, we're going to have book 10.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow Cindy on Twitter @FixItCohost. And you can follow us on Instagram, Fix It Home Improvement.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.